Would you join me in prayer? And thank you, loving God, for your presence here with us right now. And thank you for being with me as I share your message, that I share the truth, that my heart and my mind are open, and that the words flow with grace and ease, the thoughts come forward, and that it is received with grace and ease, and that each of us are blessed and touched by your Spirit, because we know and we experience your presence right here and right now. In the name and the nature of the living Christ. Amen. Oh, the power of the F word. And the power of prayer.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I don't know about you, but I discovered the F word when I was about 8 or 9. Of course, it was another F word. It's the word that you don't repeat in polite company. And I thought I was making it up because I don't remember ever reading it or hearing it anywhere. And it came out of my mouth, and my auntie went, and just said, "Don't ever say that again." And couldn't wait to get home to tell my grandma, who fell back in her chair and admonished me. But nobody told me what that word meant. Now, given my proclivities in life, you probably think the F word means fabulous. But again, we're not talking about that F word. We're talking about forgiveness. Yeah, and it's also a very powerful word. Ellen Davenport, who wrote Hell in the Hallway, Light at the Door, the book that we're doing in our book study, it says the key to forgiveness is to stop insisting on what ought to have happened, to stop making up stories about how your life should have been different. Isn't that the truth? Because, we create these stories of being betrayed and hurt and abused, and they're very real. Don't get me wrong. They're very real. But it's always about what should have been, and it didn't happen that way, and so we're hurt. And we have to come to this moment of forgiveness. Now, I'm going to explore 2 different kinds of forgiveness, and one is the one that we're really familiar with, and that's traditional forgiveness. And this actual definition came from an academic website, but I thought it was very good. And it says the traditional definition of forgiveness is a willingness to abandon one's right to resentment, negative judgment, and indifferent behavior to one who unjustly injured us, while fostering the undeserved qualities of compassion, generosity, and even love toward him and her. And oftentimes when we talk about forgiveness, that's what we're talking about, isn't it? That we are letting the other person, we're releasing negative energy towards them because they've done us wrong. They have done something very wrong, and we're going to let go of that. We're not going to hold it against them any longer. Now, the metaphysical definition of forgiveness is a process of giving up the false for the true, erasing sin and error from the mind and body. Forgiveness really means the giving up of something. When you forgive yourself, you cease doing the things you should not do. So, true forgiveness is established through renewing the mind and body, through thoughts and words of truth. It is going to the truth of the situation and seeing that it's being in relationship with our higher power. Now, Ellen says every act of forgiveness boils down to self-forgiveness. Now, how can that be? That just doesn't make sense because they are the ones who have done something against us. So how could their actions be my self-forgiveness? How can that be? Well, the 2 paths to forgiveness. Ellen says in traditional forgiveness, you believe someone else has wronged you. but you don't want to hold on to the feeling of ill will for the rest of your life. So you let it go of the hatred, disappointment, or anger. And that's something that each one of us has regularly worked on, because forgiveness is a spiritual practice. It is something that we have to practice over and over and over again. Metaphysical forgiveness, this is a little bit more enlightened. You're able to see what happened is perfect for your soul's growth. You've learned from the experience or worked through the issues. You may never label the event good, but you see its gifts. You see, this is when we understand that what we've done is we've made a conscious choice. Rather, we've made a conscious choice to see how we own what is going on. We own our actions in us. Ernest Holmes was the founder of Science of Mind, which is now Centers for Spiritual Living. And he says the universe holds nothing against us. No matter how many mistakes we have made, we are still perfect beings within. There is nothing in the universe that wishes evil to anyone. Nothing. And when we understand that, when we grasp that the universe is not holding one iota of energy necessarily against us, that we have to also understand that being created in the likeness and the image of this perfect and beautiful universe, that we too have that same capacity. We have that same capacity to see ourselves and see others as perfect, complete beings of light and love. It's almost as if saying, we hold nothing against others. No matter how many mistakes others have made, we are still perfect beings. They are still perfect beings within. There is nothing in the universe that wishes evil to anyone. We can claim that for ourselves. Imelda Shanklin was a teacher, an old-time teacher in Unity, and she said, "Father, forgive me for expecting in the human that which is only found in the divine." In other words, she's saying that, forgive me for seeing the person as less than and not as their perfect and whole being. Forgive me for letting my lower self see their lower self rather than my higher self always seeing their higher self. And Eric Butterworth, one of her students, said, "Note, forgive me. In other words, I have sinned by expecting in the human of the person something that can only be found in the Christ within the individual. I must take responsibility for my attitudes. I must take responsibility for my attitudes. I am responsible for every thought, feeling, and action that comes out of me. It may not appear or feel that way sometimes, but truly, I am driving the destiny of my life. And in doing that, when I have deemed someone else as being wrong, I've made them wrong. Now, granted, what they did possibly and truly may have not been up to their highest, well, probably to their highest good, but not to the highest self that we want them to be, truly. Truly, people often disappoint us. And we have had our moments when we have disappointed others. But what they are saying in this is that we see past that. We see past this lower self to the higher self. And our higher self acknowledges their higher self. And we take responsibility then for whatever has transacted. And we take responsibility for what we do with it. This is from Ed Rabel, who He reminds me of an evangelist, though, the way he would talk. He said, the true spirit of Jesus Christ is continuous forgiveness of sin. Continuous all the time. That's the true spirit that we've come into. If you avail yourself of the privilege of limiting the amount of forgiving you're going to do, you must take what comes with that privilege. So you always have that option not to forgive, not to fully let go, not to see them as their high self. If you're really seeking Christ consciousness, then you must forego the privilege of limitations. Even though you have a right to impose those limitations, you have the right to do that. Jesus is saying if you want unlimited consciousness or Christ consciousness, you must do unlimited forgiving. There is no other way. The minute you say, I've had enough, I forgive you no more, you are out of the kingdom of heaven. You are out of the running for the Christ consciousness. Now, we know when Ed says that there is no place, physical place that we call the kingdom of heaven. But what you do is you're taking yourself out of your holiness and going to your lower self and standing in your lower self and saying, this is who I am. And you know, that's just a mere shadow. That's just an appearance, because who you really are is unlimited light and love. That is your true nature attempting to come forward. We are of that nature, but sometimes, and a lot of times, we're working on our awareness to accept that nature. When you limit any kind of spiritual act or expression from yourself, to that degree, you limit yourself from attaining what you really want, that is Christ consciousness. That goes for anything. You know, when we limit ourselves to, in how we give, if we limit ourselves to how we give, that is all we are going to get, is our limitation. When we are open to giving to the world, when we are open to serving the world and sharing love in the world and being an expression of light and love at all times, that's what we get back. The power of forgiveness. So most of us know that October 2nd, 2006, there was a real tragedy in the Amish community. That 10 girls were taken in their schoolroom while the other girls were left, and each one was shot execution style, and 5 of them died. And it was a horrible, horrible event for a community that is extremely peace-loving, who means no harm in our world whatsoever. And yet, in the midst of that was such great love, was such great healing, was such a great example to the world of how to handle such a horrific act. Within hours, the Amish community forgave the killer. They appeared at the home of the assassin's family with food and flowers and prayers. At the funeral, over half of the people who were in attendance were from the Amish community. Not only that, many of them were the parents of the slain girls. They were there to offer an extreme expression of forgiveness. One of the fathers of the slain daughters said, "Our forgiveness was not our words, it's what we did." The teachings of Jesus Christ is to love your enemies, reject revenge, and leave vengeance in the hands of God. Forgiveness means giving up the right to revenge. And in their view, forgiveness is their duty. One of the bishops said, forgiveness is the only thing that Jesus underscored in the Lord's Prayer. It's that powerful, it's that important. And forgiveness means not holding a grudge, because the acid of bitterness eats the container that it holds, said one of the farmers. Profound act of forgiveness at a time that would have sent others enraged and wanting revenge. They started a fund to assist the widow and her family. They helped in any way they could. It didn't mean that they didn't suffer, because they did. They suffered very much. But part of their spiritual practice is letting go, is to see that higher self. Not to condone what happened in any way, shape, or form, but to see the higher self. And my guess is it took a lot of prayer for them. In Mark 11:25, whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father in heaven may also forgive your trespasses. We cleanse our minds so that God can cleanse us. We let go. Ben Jamison says we are already in perfect rapport with the universe. Our appearance, our awareness is that all is missing. So we're in perfect rapport. We just don't have the awareness that we're in perfect rapport. Prayer helps us fill your consciousness bucket in the way you desire. We are the light of the world. We already possess all the attributes of divinity. And Ellen Davenport, the author of our book, says prayer is focused thought that moves the creative energy of the universe. Affirmations don't make something true, they remind us of what already is true. How the universe works and who you really are as a spiritual being. And then we also need to be praying for others. As others are in their hallway and they're going through whatever challenges they may be going through, we hold them up in light and love because we see that higher self. This isn't an act of sympathy or pity. This is an act of our higher self seeing their higher self and lifting them up, holding the vision for them. That's what we do as a community. We all go through our challenges, and sometimes we even talk about them. Unity people don't talk much about their challenges, but sometimes we even talk about it. And when we do, we're not there to say, oh, so sorry, although we are. We're there to hold them up and lift them up and love them through the experience, knowing that on the other side of whatever energy or activity is going on in their hearts and their minds, that healing is coming forward, that wholeness is being restored, that whatever they are experiencing in that moment is temporary. So Ellen gives us some prayers for the hallway. We use some of these in the Phoenix Project, Ellie. Reveal what needs to be revealed and heal what needs to be healed. This could be a really dangerous prayer because we are really opening ourselves up, aren't we? To ask God, ask the universe to reveal to us what needs to be healed and to give to us the strength and the power to be healed. To lead me where you need me and speak to me in ways I cannot possibly understand. To lead me to that place where I need to be healed and speak to me. And even if I don't understand it, open my heart and open my mind. Because show me the good. Show me the good in the situation. That should be always our challenge to the universe. When a challenge comes our way, we should say, show me the good. I want to see it. I know it's there. I'm not feeling it right now, but I know it's there and I want it. And then always give thanks in advance as we're asking, as we're not asking, as we are affirming. We're giving thanks. We're demonstrating faith. We're living with gratitude. And living in gratitude opens us up to receive. Now, I know that this Amish community went through a very dark hallway. And the world gathered around them and prayed with them and held them up and lifted them up. And I know that each and every one of us goes through a hallway at some point in our lives that seems very dark, that seems like there are no doors, that feels like it's never going to end. And I encourage you that when you are there, when you know someone is there, pray for them, but also pray for yourself when you're there. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind. Be sweet. Have the faith. Hold on to the faith that change is coming. Forgive. Forgive yourselves for the perception that something negative is happening. Hold on to the faith that whatever this is, it's constructive. It's regenerative. It's a power in our lives. It's a gift in our lives to change and to grow. Those aren't always our favorite words, are they? But there we have it. Will you join me in prayer? Thank you, loving God. Thank you for the power and the opportunities to change and grow. We affirm that we are always open for these changes and growth to be done with ease and grace, and that they are gentle. And in those moments when they don't appear that way, that you are sending us the love and the support, that our hearts and minds open to receive the gifts of the moment. And for that we are so grateful. Amen.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.